Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hamdan wa syukran lillah, amma ba'd. First of all, let's say thanks to Allah Azza wa Jalla, the King of the King, the Lord of the world, who has given me the mercy so I can record this video. And secondly, salawat and salam Allah devote to our great Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala ali Muhammad, who has brought us from the darkness to the lightness. He is the Son of the world. Okay, well, ladies and gentlemen, my brothers and sisters, and all of the examiners from this thesis examination. Firstly, let me introduce myself. My name is Rahmadina Arsyah. I am a student of English Education Department from 7th semester. So, in this occasion, I would like to present you about my thesis and my research. So, let's watching my video. Okay, well, for the title of my research is about the effect of the authentic learning activities toward students' English learning at Al-Irshad Islamic Boarding School, Bulan Kamba. And then, there are two variables of this research. For the variable X, or independent variable, is about the authentic learning activities, and for the variable Y, or the dependent variable, it is about students' English learning. Okay, well, for the background of the problem, it is about the students' English learning, especially in their speaking skill. It is based on the theory of Tarragant at 1981, stated about the main point of speaking is for communicating. So, you have to convey the thinking and the feeling effectively. Then, for the phenomena of the problem in this research, based on the preliminary research of the researcher, for the first phenomena, it is about some of students are not able to answer the questions from the teacher while learning process. For the second phenomena, it is about some of students are not able to communicate in English while process of learning. And the third phenomena, it is about most of students are not have interested in learning English. Then they are lack of participation while doing the discussion and learning process. So, in this research, it is needed for the researcher to limit the problem in this research. So, the limitation of the problem, it is about the students' English learning, especially in their speaking skill at practicing the language into real-life communication by using the authentic learning activities at 9th grade students of Al-Irshad Islamic Boarding School, Bulan Kamba. And the researcher formulated the problem in this research. So, for the formulation of the problem in this research, there are three formulations of the problem in this research. For the first and the second formulation of the problem, it is about how is the students' English learning, especially in speaking skill, at practicing the language into real-life situation, talk by using and talk without using the authentic learning activities at Al-Irshad Islamic Boarding School, Bulan Kamba. And then, the formulation of the problem is about is there any significant differences of students' English learning, especially in speaking skill at practicing the language into real-life situation between those who are talk and without talk by using the authentic learning activities at Al-Irshad Islamic Boarding School, Bulan Kamba. Next slide, it is about the review of related literature. So, for the theoretical framework in this research, the researcher takes the three theories about this research in authentic learning activities. So, according to her in 2013, he defined that authentic learning activities is learning by participating and working on real world problems, and then it gave the opportunities of the solving real problem and finding the solution. And then Lev and Winger in 1991, they stated authentic learning activities as learning activities that are done by the students within real communities of practice. And then Donovan, Bransford, and Palerigno in 1990, they also state that authentic learning is making the students learn meaningful by engaging them in relevant and real-world learnings. Well, guys, there are some concepts of authentic learning activities according to Lamberthart in 2013. There are 5 concepts of authentic learning activities based on this theory. The first is authentic learning boosts students' motivation, and then the students learn better in authentic learning environment. And the third, it is about the authentic learning prepares students for future career, and then authentic learning makes concepts easier to be assimilated. And for the last concept, based on this theory, it is authentic learning blends the theory with the practice itself for the students. So, based on DAI in 2015, English learning is a process through which students increase their English knowledge and then develop their English skill and improve their ability to use English in real-life communication. And then Cheney in 1998 state that speaking is the process of building and sharing the meaning through the use of verbal and non-verbal symbols and variety of syntax. So, Tarragon in 1981 also stated that the main point of speaking is for communicating. So, you have to convey the thinking and feeling effectively, then the speaker must understand the meaning to be communicated to make the listener understand with what the speaker are talking about. The next, it is about the relevant research. So, in this research, the researcher takes some relevant research that is related to this research. So, for the first relevant research, for this research, it is a research that is conducted by Il Dennis Osverir and John Harrington in 2015, entitled The Authentic Learning Activities in Language Learning, Bringing the Relevance to Classroom Activities. And then a research that is conducted by Thomas C. Rivers, John Harrington, and Ron Oliver in 2014 by the title The Authentic Activity as a for Model Web-Based Learning. And then the research that is conducted by Marta Nandari Santoso in 2018 by the title A Showcase of Authentic Learning Activities in an English as a Foreign Language Class. And then the research that is conducted by the Il Dennis Osverir, Ulker Fancy Osam, and John Harrington in 2017, entitled Investigating the Effect of Authentic Learning Activities on Foreign Language Learning. So for the last relevant research that the researcher take in this research, that is the research conducted by the Tian Luo, Alexander Murray, and Helen Crampton in 2017, entitled Designing the Authentic Learning Activities to Train the Pre-Service Teachers About the Teaching Online. Okay, well, for the next, it is about the operational concept in this research. So, the operational concept here means that the step or the way of the researcher to conduct or to do the research in this research. So, based on the Harrington in 1997, Harrington in 2006, Harrington and Oliver in 1995, in Oslem Chan Junjaran in 2015. They state that there are some steps to do or to conduct the authentic learning activities. So, for the first, it is about the teacher prepare the authentic context, and then the teacher give the authentic activities into the students, and then the teacher describe about how real practitioner behave in a real situation, and then the teacher also has a central role to encourage the students' motivation to explore the different perspective in real life, and then the teacher also give the authentic tasks to the students in groups and ask them to do the collaboration, and then the teacher give the suggestions into the students about these activities, and then the teacher prepare the students for having good articulation in speech, yeah, maybe in their pronunciation and then in their gesture and etc. And then the teacher give the control to the learning situation and relate it into real life situation. And the last, it is about the teacher give the authentic assessment into the student's work. And then it is about the assumption and hypothesis in this research. So, the researcher assumes that the authentic learning activities may improve students' English learning, especially in their speaking skill at Al Irshad Islamic Boarding School, Bulaan Kamba. And then, for the hypothesis, there are two hypotheses in this research. There are HO and HA. For the HO is there is no significant effect of authentic learning activities to our students' English learning, especially in speaking skill of 9th grade students at Al Irshad Islamic Boarding School, Bulaan Kamba. For the HO is about there is a significant effect of authentic learning activities to our students' English learning, especially in speaking skill of the 9th grade students at Al Irshad Islamic Boarding School, Bulaan Kamba. We come to the method of the research in this research. For the research design, in this research, it is experimental research design based on Creswell in 2012. For the time in this research, that is, the researcher conduct this research from October to December in 2020. So for the location of this research, it is in Al Irshad Islamic Boarding School, Bulaan Kamba. For the subject in this research, it is the 9th grade of Al Irshad Islamic Boarding School, Bulaan Kamba. Then the object of this research, it is the effect of authentic learning activities toward students' English learning, especially in their speaking skill. For the population, in this research, there are 54 students for the population in this research, there are two classes in 9th A and 9th B. So for the sample in this research, the researcher decided into two groups. The first is there are experimental class and control class. So for the sample, the researcher choose the purposive sampling, that is, the sample that are selected by some consideration. So for the experimental class, there are 23 students, that is 9th A class. So for the control class, also 23 students for the 9th B. So based on the Creswell in 2012. So for the technique of collecting the data in this research, the researcher used tests to conduct the data. So there are pre-tests and post-tests. So for technique of data analysis, the researcher used t-tests by the SPSS. The next, it is about the data analysis of this research. After the researcher collecting the data, so the researcher need to analyze the data. So for the data analysis of students' English learning, especially in their speaking skill in practicing the English language in the real-life situation after being taught by using authentic learning activities, the majority of students in this experimental class were classified into very good level. So, the data analysis of students' English learning, especially in their speaking skill, after being taught without by using authentic learning activities, the majority of the students in this control class were classified into good level. So, the differences of students' English learning, especially speaking and practicing the English language into real-life situation of control and experimental group. So, the mean of experimental group was 79.57. So, the mean of control group was 74.13. Meanwhile, the standard deviation from experimental group was 3000.501, and the standard deviation from the control group was 4000.546. So, the standard error mean experimental group was 0.730. Then, the standard error mean control group was 0.948. Okay, well, based on the data analysis of the researcher before, we can conclude that there is a significant differences of students' English learning, especially in their speaking and practicing the English language into real-life situation, taught by using authentic learning activities and without using authentic learning activities at Al-Irshad Islamic Boarding School, Bulaan Kamba. Okay, well, that's all the explanation about my research entitled The Effect of Authentic Learning Activities Toward Students' English Learning at Al-Irshad Islamic Boarding School, Bulaan Kamba. Thanks for all attention and forgive me the mistakes. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.